Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, today I have a video again with Epomaker. So thank you again, Epomaker. They sent me out the Galaxy68. Now, the Galaxy series from Epomaker has always been a really decent grab. I like the Galaxy70, that was a really nice one. The Fecker X Galaxy 80 was also a decent one. So I'm really curious how the 68 is going to be. It looks like a very different designed 65% board, a bit longer in terms of the length. I don't know if I'm going to be super comfortable with this board or like the size of it. We'll have to see. We'll have to compare it and see how long is it compared to a 65 and some other boards out there. So let's go straight into unboxing, and please make sure to like and subscribe. Now, starting off with the unboxing of the Galaxy68. Thank you again, Epomaker, for sending me this out. Now, you guys may be wondering why I'm doing this video, like a fourth one. Honestly, I've gotten so many collaborations lately, so I've been having to keep up, and for this week I do have to do an extra video. Now, this thing does come with a braided cable. Really do appreciate that. Extra switches, keycap puller, switch puller. One thing is that compared to the previous Galaxy series boards that I've tried, they do actually have a bit of a better cable, and I'm actually impressed that they did that. It looks like it's an upgrade compared to the previous ones. Now, one thing I did notice is that the USB dongle is separate, which is unfortunate. I wish that they provided space in the board itself to have the USB dongle. Honestly, I think that's something that a lot of companies should really figure out. Now, this thing does have a volume knob. It does have a very interesting layout, right? So it's a 65%, sorry, but it's actually longer than a 65. We're gonna have to weigh this board real quick before we go into a sound test, and this thing weighs 1.3 kilos. So, tearing down the board. First thing we got to check is this a flex cut board? And yes, it is. So we got a PC plate right there, and as you can see, there is actually quite a lot of cutouts. So I was hitting it to see, confirming what kind of plate it is. It is a PC plate, and you'll notice that there's cuts like on every single layer of it, like the number row and the QWE. So each row will have a cut in the plate itself. Now, you have to use the screwdriver to take out the screws from the corners to open up the board. It's going to require a hexagonal, and it's, I think, the third or fourth from the largest one that you usually get in a toolkit. Once you do that, we can take a look to see at the top where we measure the sides to be about 10.6 millimeters in terms of thickness, and then the left and right to be a little bit more so. And then also, like, the total top casing is actually not that thick. It's actually kind of on the shallower end, which, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how they did this. It is a gasket mounted board, as you can see, of course. And then we're going to remove it. We're going to take out the actual data cable and, of course, take a look inside. Now, I wanted to see what the batteries were. Like, I want to show you guys on camera, of course, what you're getting. Unfortunately, I couldn't remove the tapes or anything. And then I wanted to try to remove the battery from the case, but I was worried that I might puncture it while I'm doing that. And this is a lithium battery, so do not want to puncture it and then cause a fire. Now, these are actually 3000 milliamp hour batteries, so you get 6000 in total. The foam on the bottom is 2 millimeters thick. It's a okay foam compared to what I've seen with previous Galaxy series. I gotta admit, upgraded foam, like much upgraded. The back, also the sheet, like plastic sheet, plus the foam tape on the back of the PCB is decent as well. It's, I would say, again, a little bit of an upgrade. Still on the little bit more cheaper side, I can definitely tell, but a little bit of an upgrade. Now, the plate and PCB both are 1.2 millimeters, which honestly, I really do wish to see companies kind of change this up. Like, 1.6, why not? Why are we only doing 1.2 millimeters lately? It would be nice to see companies do something different. Now, it's a plate mounted stabilizer, does come pre-lubed, and it's pretty decently pre-lubed actually. Compared to some of the boards I've seen before, this one definitely comes a lot better pre-lubed, and you can actually see that and also hear that inside the board. Now, another thing we're going to do is mod the board now, and we're going to do a 2-layer tape mod. So very simple, put 2 layers on the back of the PCB, and then we're going to, of course, have to put this back together. One thing to note when you're putting it back together is that the Galaxy series boards are usually very tight on space, like very, very tight on space. So if you do the tape mod like you see in my video, just keep in mind that you're really going to have to press it in the top casing quite a bit to be able to really put it on. Now I'm going to do 2 layers of tape inside the spacebar as well. This should help with a lot of the hollow sound from the spacebar that it makes. Like this board does make a lot of hollow sound. And then of course we're going to put back together. Make sure you put that silicone back in the Epomaker logo section. And of course we're going to hear a modded sound test of this board. Now, we've done the unboxing, we've done the teardown, we've done like the sound test, modding. What are my thoughts? The switch in this one is the Epomaker switch, and I personally do not really enjoy them. They're too light. Now, it depends on the person. Some people are going to like that. For gaming purposes, a light switch is not a bad thing. It means that you have a little bit more of a faster reaction. Inputs much quicker. It's not a bad thing, but in terms of typing, I'm not a big fan of that because too light meaning I'm making a lot of typos on this board. It is quite long. Compared to 65%, like we're gonna have to really do a side-by-side in-depth review of this one, but I personally think a little bit too long for me. I wish that it was a little bit short. Like I like 65%, honestly, just the length of it and everything. 65 just does it better for me. I really wish that they did go with a different switch. That Epomaker switch is really clacky in this board. I know that the Galaxy70 was like a really creamy switch. They had a creamy switch in it, and the Galaxy like 80 was also, the TKL was a little bit of a better sound too, like a little bit more thockier. This one really does sound clacky, which is okay, but it depends on the switch that you're using, and these ones I'm not a big fan of it. I'll have to go in depth more though, like to the review, see what the software is like and much more. So let's go into that and see what this is like, as well as compare it with some of the 65% that I've tried. Alright, now let's go into taking a look. So this is what I meant in terms of the length of the 65%. As you can see, the top is at 65%, it's a Zen 65, and you can see that this is actually quite a bit longer. Next I'll show you what a 75% board looks like beside it, and even compared to a 75% board, it's longer. To be fair, the 75% board I'm using is probably about the same length as a 65, but you can really see that like this Galaxy68 is a little bit longer than a 75% board, and I don't know, it really couldn't be dependent on the person. Like this is my TKL and it's about the same length. Like the TKL and the 68 is almost the same length. Now the reason why I bring this up, and I was mentioning about the length, is that it's not that I'm saying a longboard's bad, right? In terms of like, yes, it could take up desk space, but everyone's different in terms of what they're wanting to do. And the biggest thing is though, is do you want your 65 to be too long? All right, it's a question. I'm not too sure. Let me know in the comments if that is something you'd like. Now, a reason for this sound test is trying to show you guys how loud this board can get. And of course, you must have got it compared to like, say, the sound test. This board is on the louder side. I did take it to work. I used it in the office space, and I kind of found myself a little bit self-conscious. Like I thought that every time I was typing, it was a bit too loud. To be fair, sometimes boards can sound loud in terms of in person. When you are in front of a board and you have the typing and going on, it really depends on like your area. Sometimes, like depending on where you are, if you have a lot of like surrounding noises, it can be muted out a lot compared to what you think. But like when you're in front of the board, the sound goes up, right? So it comes to you, which will be definitely louder to you. This board though, I felt like it was quite loud in the office in general. You know, my office space that I'm working in is like a lot of people, so there is a lot of different sounds happening, but I did definitely feel that it was a little bit on the loud side. That no one complained about it. To be fair, a lot of people, my coworkers, all use custom keyboards as well, so it's not like a big deal, but it is something that happens. In terms of this switches though, it is super light. Like I felt myself making a lot of typos because the switches were a little bit too light for me. I'm kind of surprised that it was, just because they're supposed to be like 65 grams, but this felt super light. Like it felt like I was accidentally pressing things. In terms of the gaming performance though, because of the way that I feel like the switches felt light, it really worked well in terms of gaming. I was feeling like, you know, things were reacting really quickly. I was pressing the buttons really quickly, like the keys. So that's something to know. Now, the paint in terms of the board itself and how it's painted on and the coating of it, it's not like your regular CNC where it's like really smooth. It's really hard for me to kind of show you, and I'm hoping that you guys can kind of see it on camera. It is like textured. So you have this texture on it, so it's not like a really nice smooth CNC, but you have a more textured feel on the outer layer and like the whole coating of the board itself. So it does seem like it's okay, and it won't, you know, be like chipping off too quickly in terms of like the quality of it, but it does scratch, right? Like here, me giving you guys a little bit of a scratch test here, like I'm hitting that board with my tweezers, and I don't know if you guys can really catch it on camera, but there are marks on there. So like there are small marks on the board itself, so you can tell that it can get scratched for sure if you are like putting it near something, or if you carry it in a backpack, you will definitely have some scratches that come up on this board. It also collects a lot of dust on there, so keep that in mind for yourselves. It does get dusty in that, and you might have to clean it more frequently, especially because of the white keycaps. Now, of course, going into the switch, so the white marble like Fecker switch is decently done. I think it's on the clackier side of things, but in terms of the stem wobble, you really don't get a ton. It's really pretty decently done. The fact that stem wobble wise, like horizontally, you're going to get some more, but vertically, you practically get none. So not a bad switch for that, right? If you are gaming, you're definitely going to notice like the fact that it's not actually wobbling too much, and if you are someone who's sensitive to it, this will be okay. In terms of the lighting, so this thing has lighting, like a lot of lighting around the board. You get like the corner lights, you have the front light, you have the logo light, and you have the back lighting. Really crazy amount of lighting in this board, which is super cool. I completely forgot to actually turn off the lighting from the front side, but you get like all this cool lighting around, like glowing. So definitely a lot of RGB. I was trying to show off the light because you can see a little bit of light from the corners there, but I just had it turned off, and I thought I accidentally taped over it, but no, it was just the fact that I completely forgot that I turned off that light. Now, this board is bright, right? You can see how bright the board is. Definitely really cool how bright and RGB it is. I think this is one of those like really gaming RGB boards where you are going to get a very strong backlight. My camera for some reason catching this white light to be more blue, but it is actually quite more white. I think it doesn't get like full white colored, but it'll go to like a close to white with a little bit of like a light blue hue to it. That's what I've been noticing with the whole coloring itself. Now, with the board and the backlighting, as you can see, you can do a lot of different changes to it. You can see how like the lighting goes really strong towards the camera. So when you see it in person and when you see it on camera, it's very different. But I can definitely tell even through the camera itself that it is bright, which means that it's even brighter in person. Now we want to go into the website. So as you can see, the Epomaker Galaxy68 is $99.99, so it's $100. You get two different colors, two different switches, Wisteria or the marble white. I would highly suggest the Wisteria switches. Now as you can see here, it is a 65%. There's the layout, but it is more of a longer layout. It's also Q&K VIA. Kind of surprised on that, honestly. I was quite surprised that they did this because the previous Galaxy series always had a non-VIA board with a different software. It was always like that weird Galaxy software, which I was not a big fan of. This one is VIA supported, which is awesome. So as you can see here though, they do a whole breakdown of like it's PBT keycaps, so most likely double shot PBT, and you get a PC plate and so much more in there. As you can see here, it is what they say a long battery. It is 6,000 milliamp hours battery, so you get 3,000 milliamp hours in total. You can download the JSON file right there, super easy. Just click download, and then once you download it, make sure you put it into the folder where you have all your JSON files. Go into VIA, go into design tab, plus load, click it and load it, and boom, you can see it right there. VIA is great. I really love that they're going with VIA. Really, they should do that with every board that they do. It's super easy to customize. You get so many different options. You get macros. It's awesome to see that they did that. You also get all the lighting changes. This is one thing I love. Certain boards out there have all these lighting on the sides that you can't change it because it's not VIA, and they use their own app. When they use their own software, it has no options for these like VIA does, where I can do the encoder, I can do the logo. Encoder is going to be for the sides, so you get the corner lighting, side lighting. Logo lighting is where, you know, just the logo is, and then the middle one is going to be for like your whole back lighting. Now, using Keyboard Inspector, we can see how many what polling rate we're getting. So we're getting 1,000. Oh, why did I say 2 there? It's 1,000 hertz. So you're getting 1,000 polling rate, which is really more than enough for gaming, and it's not bad. Now, I do want to go and compare this with sound test with other boards and give you a comparison. So let's do that. So let me give you guys a comparison. First of all, $100, 2 colors, Galaxy68. Epomaker P65, one of my favorite 65%. $120, 2 colors, 2 switches. The AL65 also, really nice. I actually liked it a lot. 2 switches, 2 colors. It's $130 though. The AL68, $112, 2 colors, 3 different switches though. Now we have the Wakecav Lucky 65 V2. Also a really good 65% keyboard, really well done. It is a barebone kit though, so you will have a range of pricing anywhere from $80 to $94, and you have to buy your own switches and keycaps. The Zen 65, you know that this is from Wobkey. It's one that like is been popularized. I think it's an okay board, but the pricing is definitely on the higher side. Right, the light is supposed to be $130, and then right now it's $110 on Kickstarter. It does have like the HMX switches in there, so it's not bad, but definitely you're not getting a lot for like the price you're paying. The $133 and like $112 for the switches, for having like a little bit of a more like battery life and such, is really not bad, right? Like you're getting a lot more technically, but paying around the same or less. Depends on the Kickstarter price, of course, and then once the Kickstarter ends, you really do have to pay full price. Like the same amount of battery life is a bit harder to get at that price, like at 110. But once the Kickstarter is over, it's going to be on the pricier side. So you can see here, the Galaxy68 at $100 has good battery, a 6,000 milliamp hour battery. It's even more than the P65, which is at 4,000. So if you are someone who wants like bigger battery, you know, definitely you can consider that. 8,000 for the AL65, which has a beautiful design. And then you have 6,000 again for the AL68. This one is going to be the Lucky 65. The Lucky 65 battery life, I actually had to look really through the website because I couldn't remember it myself, but it's supposed to be 3,750 50 milliamp hours. So a decent battery, but like again, if you really consider it, it's not going to be as much as the the Galaxy 68. Now, The Ultra of the Zen 65 is 6,000 milliamp hours, and then the Lite is 3,000. So you're getting a much lower battery life from the Lite version. I know it's like $110, but it's still a lot less battery life for $10 more. Though I'd say it has a better sound and a really nice switch in there. All of them are VIA compatible. So like every single one of these boards is VIA compatible. So you don't have to worry about that point, right? It's not going to be at a software point anymore. It's really now going to be all of them are using VIA, right? Everything's confirmed VIA, which is nice. That means it only comes down to is what? The design, the price, the switches, like the sound, and the quality of the board itself. I think that this board at a 65% definitely is quite large. I'm not like, if I'm thinking about a 65% board and I want something that's easy to carry at a 65, I wouldn't want something that's too long. I would want something that's a little bit shorter and have like that compactness. If you're using it at home though, that's a different story, right? I don't know if like some people might want that spacing, right? Because you do get more space where the arrow key is with like your delete, page up, page down, compared to a 65, which is like a little bit more pushed, compact, and you don't have that much space. Even though these ones, the arrow keys are still technically right under the right shift, you do have a little bit more space to compare to like the control and the right. The thing about this though is that you also get your full 3 buttons on this, like the keys on the side, right? Which is like the Alt, FN, Control. So you get all of that, which is nice to have, right? If you do use them. I don't use the right control at all, but some people might, and it might be nice to have that available in a 65% board. So that's a plus. I think that it's really gonna dependent for you. I think for $100 though, it really isn't a bad choice, right? You're saving like anywhere between $10 to $20 to $30 for this board comparing it with the ones that I've tried so far, right? Comparing it that way. I love the P65. Like this was one of my favorite boards. I think for 65% was super well done. The AL65 is also a really nice one, but I would say make sure you get that with a Gateron Zero switch. It's a really good switch, and I love the design of it. Sound wise, it's okay. The L68 for me wasn't the greatest, I'm gonna be honest. I think the whole sound profile of the board itself and everything wasn't towards what I was wanting in terms of the dampening and the foams inside and the typing feel. Lucky 65 is always great, but it is a bare bone kit, meaning you're gonna have to buy the switches and keycaps separately, which will end up being around like the $130 price range. The Zen 65 is a decent choice. Just I'm worried about the QC of it. I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but I did like the Zen 65. It's the only thing is the way that they built this board, the sound wise, I feel like is always the same. Like whatever switch is using, it's always very similar. This one is going to be interesting. I think if you are looking for something under 100, this is definitely something you can take a look at yourself. It's not too bad. So I hope this video helped you guys to see if the Galaxy 68 is something that you would want to grab. I'm sure you guys seen like Epomaker promoting it, having it up. The design of the board is cool though. I gotta admit, it's like kind of like a spaceship theme. That's the way I look at it. It's a very more of like a spaceship themed board, with the color also being like spacish. I think that the Galaxy series is pretty decent. They do make quite a more affordable series with the Galaxy ones. I like the build quality is pretty okay too, especially when you consider like what you're paying for it. My favorite from Epomaker honestly is the P series. I like the P series more, but the Galaxy series also is a decent grab. Of course, they go on sale quite often too, so you can always check out the sales and grab yourself one, especially if you are wanting like an aluminum board but also want to save money. I think that the 68's okay. I'm not a big fan of it just because of the length of it and the switches in it. You could maybe grab these and of course change the switches to something really budget, like, you know, like Aqua switches out there. You could definitely do that and it could really come out really well as well. So I'll have the links in the description. You can go check it out, see what if you are interested in it, and then of course go catch out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.